You are hiding your head in the sand if you don't know that online sales have taken a larger than previously imaginable jump since COVID struck the US in March. As lockdowns and fear kept people in their homes, plus money flowing in from unprecedented government spending, e-commerce grew at a pace that was literally unthinkable in early 2020. Look at these charts from S&P Global Market Intelligence Report. See the jump in the line graph from 2019 to 2020? That line represents e-commerce as a percentage of retail sales. It jumped by nearly 50% from its share in 2019. The chart below shows Amazon's share of that growth. What's next? I have to think other companies like Walmart are going to play catch up. So what happens to brick and mortar retail? Redevelopment, adaptive reuse, and continued focus on local customer experiences? Let's talk redevelopment for a minute. According to an article by Fast Company, Whole Foods opened a store that you can't walk into or shop at, a so-called dark store. Located in Brooklyn and slightly smaller than a typical Whole Foods, this particular store is dedicated solely to fulfilling online orders. It's the company's first purpose-built online-only store. With longer aisles, no salad bar, and no checkout candy, the store will be used to pack up online orders. Could this, along with pop-up kitchens and distribution centers for companies like Amazon, provide a lifeline for struggling retail centers? This is one new normal I believe people are getting behind. Let's take another look at retailers. Since you can't seem to find home office furniture anywhere, how are the likes of Office Depot and Office Max doing? Look at the parent company stock. It did trade above pre-COVID highs in June, but has been normalized since. Maybe its other holdings are a drag. Look at the one-year chart for Wayfair, the online home furnishings company. Took quite a ride this summer. Came back to earth a little along with the rest of the market, but a solid stock. Here's a chart from JLL's most recent retail report. On a side note, if you haven't read this already, read it cover to cover. It's very good. It's on JLL's website. Look at the retail categories in purple. That's July 2020 sales beating July 2019. July 2020 sales beating July 2019. Those in gray didn't do as well. How is this affecting REIT stocks? Several retail REITs are down around 50% since the pandemic began. Others are fighting their way back, buoyed by record-breaking stock market levels, takeaway last week. But compare that to Amazon. Brick and mortar is being left behind, and rightfully so. The market sees the future. E-commerce will continue to grow, and real estate will have to adapt, which I think it will. Let's talk to Kaci Hancock about retail real estate and getting ahead. You got a lot of tenants, right?
I do. I have about 54.
So if you could give us an update today on the health of your tenant base, which ones are doing well, which aren't?
We have partnered with each of our tenants. We have a mix of national tenants, and then I have some mom and pop tenants. I have some national restaurants, and then I have some mom and pop restaurants. And all of our restaurants have pretty much fared okay. During the start of this pandemic, we partnered with them. My management group partnered with the tenants for an initiative called Fair for Care. And all of our restaurants, we're like 2 blocks from the Texas Medical Center, which is the best medical center in the world. Cool. And we partnered with a lot of the hospitals and the Texas Medical Center and sponsored an initiative called Fair for Care. And so our management group purchased meals from our restaurants, and we delivered them to the medical center. So that helped a lot of our restaurants who had slowed down quite a bit. Some of our other restaurants, they pivoted to go and delivery pretty quickly. So they were still able to stay afloat. All of our restaurants remained open, which we're very thankful for. Our retailers, not so much, with the age of online shopping, which was kind of looming upon us anyway. Before this happened, a lot of our retailers were shut down for quite some time, mom and pop and national tenants, just because they were just trying to figure out how to get to the point to where they could restaff and reopen under the minimum requirements. So as of now, the majority of my tenants are reopened. Some of them are still doing curbside, and a lot of them are doing online delivery to the store, and then you come to the store and you pick up. But for the most part, it's starting to get back to normal. Thank God our restaurants didn't suffer as much as the retailers. They all suffered a little bit as far as my tenants are concerned. but everybody's got to eat, right? So even during this time, you know, all of our restaurants were still serving people. And when our mom and pop tenants started to reopen and our national tenants started to reopen, we noticed the synergy was kind of sort of coming back. And right now it's, I would say we're probably about, when it comes to customers, probably about 65%, having all of our customers back. But I'll tell you, I went out over the weekend and it was my sister's birthday and was trying to get a reservation anywhere for Friday or Saturday. And it was really hard. It was really hard. Yes, it was really hard.
That's encouraging.
We're tired of being cooped up. You know, everybody's got the same feelings, right? Tired of being cooped up, moving into the fall, school started, trying to kind of gear up for holiday. And I think people are dropping their guard just a little when it comes to venturing out, but still being precautious by washing their hands, wearing their face masks. You know, you see hand sanitizer everywhere.
Right.
But it was a pretty busy weekend here in Houston. I mean, everybody was pretty much out and about.
Well, I got tired of cooking, so we went back to the restaurants right away. What I'm talking about is from Ginger Wheelis in our Houston office. Ginger's awesome, and Ginger said, "You're going to really be impressed by Kaci." And then I don't know if it was from Ginger or you spoke on a panel, but I got the word that you went and sat down with your tenants first thing when COVID hit.
Well, I have a very one-on-one relationship with all of my tenants because it is an open-air, walkable shopping center. So I'm out walking about in my shopping center every single day. I probably get in about 15,000 steps. But our first point of contact with the tenants was not about any type of rental discussion, concession, abatement at all. For me, it happened so quickly. It was going around making sure my tenants were okay, making sure they were knowledgeable and could decipher what was really going on, and letting them know what the landlord's position was, which was, we're in this together and we're here to help you. So yes, I went door to door to each one of my tenants, trying to figure out who was going to remain open, who was receiving directives from their corporate office, because a lot of my national tenants kind of hadn't received directive yet. So they really didn't know what the shopping hours were going to be, if we were reducing, if we were closing altogether. So it was really important to me and my team to get on site and get in front of each one of those tenants so that we could give them some immediate directive and answer any questions and help them decipher what was about to happen.
Cool. But let's talk about you. Bring me back to the beginning. I was super surprised when you told me in our prep call how you started, but bring the audience back to the beginning.
I never realized actually how long I've been into this business until my son has a birthday, and he just had a 23rd birthday back in July. And so I started in this industry when he was about a year old, temping. I went to temp for a company called Transwestern and kind of hit it off with the property manager who was there. And property management was very new to me. I had come from an IT background where I was an office manager, and went into Transwestern and hit it off with the property manager, who is still one of my very favorite mentors to this day. And she kind of took me under her wing. And fortunately for me, her assistant, who I was filling in for, decided to take a longer vacation than what the property manager wanted. And she told her, don't come back. And she came to me and said, do you want a full-time job? And I was like, yeah, I definitely want a full-time job. So that was pretty cool. I went from, you know, temping in an office on a 2-week assignment to stepping into a career. And I had no idea 22 years ago that this was going to be my career, you know, this many years later, 2 decades later. So it was really exciting. Stayed with Transwestern for a little bit, and my building sold and my property manager got moved to another location. And then she called me about 6 months later and said, I'd love to have you come work with me. And I said, that's awesome. I'd love to come. So I moved buildings and told her, one day I want to be just like you. And she was very honest with me. And she said, honey, you're great, and you're going to be even better as time goes on. But I just want to break the news to you. There's not many property managers that look like me. And there's not any that I know of that look like you. And back then, that's when this was a heavily male-dominated industry, right? So the female property managers were either assistant managers or assistant general managers, or barely getting into being a property manager. So, you know, I took that as a challenge, actually.
That's cool.
Yeah, and just decided to immerse myself in the industry and learn as much as I possibly could. I don't have a college degree, so I immediately just wanted to figure out what I could do to get up to date on industry knowledge. So I earned my real estate license, went to school full time, earned my real estate license Monday through Thursday, every night after work from 6 to 9:45 with the young child. Yeah, got involved in IRM and earned my accredited commercial manager designation, and then graduated on to earning my certified property manager designation, and just basically tried to immerse myself in as much industry education and knowledge as I possibly could, and just worked my way up from the bottom.
So I'm trying to imagine this temp job where you show up at Transwestern. Transwestern is a huge company, right? And they manage a lot of properties. They have a lot of brokers. They know what they're doing. And you walked in with no background in real estate, and you sat down and said, I'm going to own this, right? And I can imagine your boss at the time who said, she's probably happy to get that phone call from her former assistant. I got a new one that's way better. But how did you become that person? There had to have been someone in your life prior to this point that made you that person who, the moment you got your foot in the door, you took over. So, and maybe that's you today. You took over. Maybe you were more shy back then. I don't know. But get me up to that point. What made you into who you are?
Well, first of all, I've never been shy. It's hard to be shy standing 6'1" flat.
That's true.
So I've never been a shy person. But my mom was an executive assistant for the president of Metro way back when. So I used to go to work with her on Saturdays and sometimes on Sundays. And I was just intrigued by, I guess what you would call then a secretarial position. And she could type 85 words a minute, and she filed and she managed the office. And I was so impressed by all these things. So when it was time for me to graduate high school, I had big dreams, even had a scholarship to go to school. And then things changed, got pregnant, and life happened, and kind of just went to a technical school because my mom said, you can't not do anything. So everybody will always need someone to answer a phone, file a paper, type a letter. You've got the personality for it. Why don't you start here? So I did. I went to a technical school for about 12 months and earned my certificate in office technology and computer business. And that's how I got my foot into the door as far as the administrative world is concerned. So when I went to Transwestern as a temp, I had been temping for about 8 months right after I had my son. And so I was one of the top temps because I could type 85 words a minute. I knew how to answer the phone. My mom groomed me and trained me very well in the administrative aspect of the corporate world. So it was an easy fit for me. And all I really needed to do was learn the ins and outs of managing a property. And so thank you to Martha Washington at the time, Martha Myers, who took me under her wing and said, I will teach you whatever you want to know, and everything else is up to you. Up until this particular position where I am right now, I have always been the only person of color in my office, and that's been over the past 21 years. My mom was the same way. I mean, she was the executive assistant to the president of a major transportation system here in Houston. And she always told me that. I mean, I would walk around the office and look, and there would be no pictures of anybody else that looked like her. There were no pictures of anybody's family of color, none of that. And so I remember asking her, what's it like to be the only one? And she said, actually, it makes me special. She said, and it's going to make you special as well. You will have to show and prove just a little more. But the fact that you are showing that you can do what everybody else is doing means you have a seat at the table. And she always instilled that in me. I will tell you, whenever someone told me I could not do something, and it was never really because, or they never really came right out and said because of the color of your skin, of course. But I will never forget my mother telling me, you are the only one, act like you are the only one, and show and prove. Show them what you got. Show them that you belong at the table. Because if you're in that office, you do belong there, and you just have to show and prove. And that's what I've always done, Todd, to be honest with you. It's never for me been, oh no, I'm the only one in the office. It's been there in the back of my mind. I've been treated certain ways because I'm the only person in the office, but it was just a challenge. Just knock it down and wait for the next one to come. I was never, ever going to let anyone tell me I was not good enough, period. I was never, and my mom played a major role in that. My advice to any young woman, especially a double minority, Just believe in yourself and know that the color of your skin or your background or where you come from or not having a college degree does not set your place in the world. It's not their say so, it's your say so. So you have to take your life and your career into your own hands and network, and pay it forward. I'm thankful to be in the position that I'm in, especially as IREM Houston president. A lot of our members, our chapter has diversified over the past probably 12 years in a huge way, And I think, this past year, a lot of our new members that have come on board are those who are diverse or ethnic background. And I'm excited to see that because they see me and they see my board members and our fellow IREM leadership and how diverse our team is. And I think that does definitely portray an attitude of, you know what, if they can do it, so can I. And we have a lot of double minorities who are in leadership positions, and our minority membership is increasing and has increased just during the pandemic.
Where did we go for retail? And I look at it, and there's already bankruptcies, right? So there are companies that are gone. Are they going to get backfilled, or do we make this huge sweeping change to e-commerce and we retool a lot of stuff? Like if you just think about your open air mall,
yeah,
does the future look like the past, or is it significantly different?
I think e-commerce was pushing on us anyway. I mean, every retailer that you can imagine now has an online store or a way for you to shop online. And it's a convenience tool. Me being 6'1", I've always shopped online. I can't just walk into the store and buy a pair of jeans or a blazer. Oh, yeah. So e-commerce is nothing new to me, but I think it was starting to be integrated anyway. I mean, I think it's the wave of the future. I also think that pop-up shops are going to be happening a lot. Instead of committing to a long-term lease when it comes to retail, you're already starting to see a lot of landlords and centers are offering spaces for pop-up shops that allows you to keep that in-person customer experience while only having a short-term lease and just trying to see if you can actually make it, if your sales will make it. I don't think retail is going to go away. I think there's still a lot of people that like to shop in person, but I think that's really going to be determined on our millennials and Gen Zs. I really do, especially our Gen Z, because Gen Z loves to shop online. And now with this whole pandemic situation, they're not meeting at the malls. They're not meeting at the movies. They're spending a lot of their time online, shopping online, talking to each other online, playing games online. So I think it's really going to be dependent on the generation that's coming behind us as to what the future of retail is going to be. But I think there's going to be a lot more pop-up shops. And those who can sustain, like the larger companies, larger national companies, I think they will. They'll probably just reduce their footprint.
Yeah, so that changes things, though. Bricks and mortar, you're changing footprints around, you're moving walls around, it costs money. Short-term leases probably scare landlords.
Yeah.
I don't think we're out of this when COVID's gone.
No,
right?
There's definitely going to be a change in retail. I think it's just too early to determine what that change is going to be. I see a lot of tenants putting, lots and lots of dollars into, upgrading their IT system so that they can offer different customer service experience in store. Virtual, I see a lot of that going on. A lot of virtual dressing rooms. You can't really go in the store nowadays and try anything on, but you can download an app to your phone and take a picture of that, take a picture of yourself, or take a picture of your item, take a picture of yourself, and you can see it on. So I think a lot of our retailers are looking at how to up their IT game and their IT infrastructure. And I know landlords are working to do that as well for the property so that they can make sure that they have the bandwidth to give to their tenants when they start to incorporate these new virtual dressing rooms or virtual head counters or, the new hand sanitizer machine that has the actual temperature or the thermometer on there, and you stand in front of it and it immediately goes to someone who's standing over there, at the counter who waves you in. I think we're just going to be a lot heavier technology based when it comes to retail.
I like what you said with the retailers investing in the technology to do both. I think that probably saves us. If you can have a store footprint of 2,000 square feet and you can do a mix of online and live sales out of that 2,000 square feet, even if you have less foot traffic now, you still have a viable business.
That's very true.
Without that technology piece, if you get half the foot traffic, it's, game over. Let's try something different.
Yeah. It's going to be ever evolving moving forward. But I feel like e-commerce was already pushing up on us anyway.
Yeah. I think retail real estate will be fun for the next 10 years. It'll suck if you're an owner. And some of these owners that have, millions and millions sunk into the Mall of America.
Yeah.
So we pre-recorded a segment on trying Costco tequila. You and I both had the same favorite brand, right? Casamigos. I remember when we met, I don't know how we started talking about it, but we were both like, Casamigos best tequila, worth every penny of the $45, $50 we paid for it. And I said, I got you. I met a guy, Michael Hogue, not I met him, I've known him for years, but he was on the Insta Snap Face thingy, and he posted a picture of himself with tequila, and he said, I'm seriously considering smuggling this into Mexico, and it's from Costco. And I said, no way, you're bananas. What did you think?
I loved it. I really did. And I'm not going to tell my husband how much that bottle cost because he's going to say, no more Casamigos for you.
Right. Well, Casamigos really still the best. It's got a flavor that you can't beat. But this Costco tequila is very close, and it's very smooth.
I was not expecting that nice, smooth taste out of a $20 bottle of tequila. I will tell you that. It was nice and smooth. It didn't bite me. Like sometimes tequila will bite you. Right. And I did. I took a shot, and then I also sipped and made a drink. So I tried it both ways.
I haven't taken a shot of it. I should try that.
So he was so gracious enough to send me this nice big bottle of Kirkland's Tequila Silver from Costco. And he is going to be trying my favorite tequila, which is a Casamigos Reposado. So I thought it would be a good idea before we actually make our drink, which is a Paloma, my favorite. We kind of taste a little bit of this first. And so I'm just going to pop the top and pour a little bit in here for a good taste. It's delicious. Oh, a little more. Perfect. That's so delicious. Nice and smooth. I really like that.
Tonight, tasting tequila. Got 2 brands and a Kaci Hancock recipe. First, we have Costco tequila, $19.99. Next, the reigning champion, Casamigos. Recipe is, let's see, set this down. Dog does not get any.
So I also have grapefruit wedges here. So I'm going to take all 4 of these grapefruit wedges and I'm just going to squeeze them into my drink and get.
Thank you to Bridgewater Bank for these cool ice balls.
All that nice pulp out, which is going to be delicious. It's a nice treat at the end of your drink because you get all of that tequila soaked grapefruit pulp in there. And so then I like to pour a little more tequila on top to get some of that tequila soaked into that pulp.
Squeeze grapefruit juice. Squeezed it about 2 hours ago, refrigerated to chill it.
And then of course here in Texas, we love Topo Chico. So I'm just gonna pour a little Topo Chico on top. Oh, for a nice fizz. Oh, that's a nice bubbly fizz. And so now here I have a nice bubbly fizzy Kaci Paloma, I guess you could call it.
Casamigos, Reposado, $45 a bottle. It's very good. Costco brand, $19.99 a bottle. And it's probably too easy to drink. I probably shouldn't have it. I'm going to finish this and see if I can get out of bed tomorrow.
It is delicious.